Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Semper from BRT. Right here with Toad, about to recap his week. This is week 7 of finding my way. Um, yeah, we've missed a couple of weeks. We're catching up. Last week we had an internet outage, so we weren't able to record. We did have a meeting, but when we were about to start recording, we lost connection. So apologies for that. Um, But we have some trades that we would like to recap for Toad. A lot of the problems that a lot of new traders have is not being consistent or not being able to make a good trade or a good trade decision, or how to get in. One of the things that I use is a break a structure as a signal to start looking for trend, start looking for strength and momentum for the trade that you want to take. I've also noticed that on the 1 minute, if it has break of structure on the 1 minute and it doesn't on the 5 minute, you're going to be scammed more likely than not. Uh, but if you're patient enough to wait for the 1 minute and the 5 minute to line up together, then that trade will most likely work in your favor. Another thing that I've also uh, paid attention to or recognized from another trader that uses ICT is when you have break of structure and then it stacks up either if you're using fibs, if it stacks up with the GP, or if you're using ICT, the fair value gap lines up with the break of structure, and you have the break of structure. And then the retest of that break of that structure stacked up with the GP or the fair value gap. Those trades are high probability trades that you should be taking. But a lot of new traders starting out have have issues with their entries or either getting stopped out. If you're getting stopped out a lot, you will need to focus on your entries. If you focus on your entries and perfecting lasering in your entries, your stops should be legit stops and will not get you out of it and get wicked out of a trade. Um, but yeah, your first goal as a new trader should be, okay, let's stop losing money, perfecting your entries, and looking for those signals. One of the first signals that I use is the breakout structure. And then I start looking at the moving averages and the RSI and the MACD. If everything lines up, then I look at the 5 minute to see if they stack up with the 1 minute. If they contradict each other, you may want to, it makes you feel like nervous or iffy, then I would stay out of that trade. Because if you don't feel good about that trade, most likely it's going to go against you. But without further ado, we could jump into the Toad's trades to see if we can see any live examples that we just talked about. So what's up? What's up, Toad? How did it go this week? And let's jump into the first trade.
Let's go. Let's see. This week actually, let's see, traded only today. I think that yeah, only today. Last week was pretty well actually, I don't remember. One of these days, either beginning of this week or end of last week was not very good. But today was good and I'm gonna show some recaps from the prior week. One of our members wanted to see reds, so I got to start with a green. To just stick it to the haters, I suppose. But no, this was just the first one I pulled up, and I like this one because it's like I think a trades like this, and whatever that it worked, that it didn't take a lot of heat, and that it went up. Like that's not the question. Um, what I'm thinking here is I think there are a lot of trades that are aggressive and it's not waiting for pullbacks, for very deep pullbacks. Um, and I think one thing that's really tough is like, all right, if it pulls back pretty far, then it gets into the realm of breaking structure. And then it's like, should I be even looking the other direction on this trade? And then, is this, I suppose waiting for structure and good pullbacks only kind of puts you in a spot where it's like you have to trade some sort of channels in a way. And I don't think it's wrong. I have no problem with it. But I think this trade exemplifies a good example of all right, so this was data on the 6th. So that was put this up here. It was all the way back. Yeah, here. Um, and eventually, right after a while, it did come back to hit the GP of this data candle and gave a fire. Let me actually just hide my MAs here. Let's get this chart cleaner. Um, I don't even know what this one is. So I'll hide that one. It did come back eventually, to hit the GP of this data candle and gave another amazing trade. Um, and so that's great, right? If you've got a lot of time to really sit and wait and do nothing until it gets into
Your
uh,
level.
either the level, yeah, or into perhaps a little short scalp area.
Yep.
Um, 100%. But then when you're looking at there are definitely, especially on NQ, a lot of trades. Oh, ES too. I mean, really, they're kind of the same. Where you get into um, where it doesn't really pull back like that. It keeps the momentum. And right here, I was thinking, so we're retracing down this wick. I fibbed out this data candle, although I fibbed it out on NQ and the candle looked like this. There was no bottom wick.
Hmm.
And then I swapped to MNQ and here it is. Here's the wick. But the my thought process here was that we're pretty much moving up and around the 100. There is no data in the pocket. That's true. Um, but it could just completely shy the pocket, head up towards the 161 and come to hit the pocket later. And it's like that worked. Yeah. But how many I want to ask, do you take because I find that this is a lot of the type of trades I want to take, like momentum trades, like more aggressive trades. Like sometimes like if price came all the way down, let me get my little marker on where wherever the bucket is, wherever there it is. If the price came all the way down to like, the pocket and then start like this would be a great long. Um, But it's like, yeah, I'm wondering, do you ever take trades that are aggressive above the pocket based on like price action and expecting momentum? Do you think it's worth taking these? Is there a criteria you have to take them? Or do you think that they are not even worth it in the first place and that when they work, it's just kind of it's like okay, they worked, but you probably shouldn't even take them. Like what do you
Um, I do, I might take them, or I do take them when, like, let's say there was structure right here, right? Like it was going like this, right? And there was structure right here, and that lined up with it. That's when I would take it. But I also need to see another structure up here that it needs to come after an attack, right? Because let's say it broke this structure, right? Because it broke it and then came back and tested it right there. And in this case, there's a fair value gap from here all the way up to here. So if I were to enter right here where you did, my stop would be like the GP, break below the GP. I would not stop all the way down here. Know what I'm saying? If Because if
Yeah,
you get in here, you can add all the way down here if you want, but it's going to be a fat loss. So you just got to know going into that trade that you don't have support right here and it can actually do this, right? Come back, hit it, and then go up. A higher probability trade would be with this structure right here because then this structure lines up with this GP, right? So that's a higher probability trade.
higher probability trade would be which structure?
Let's just say there was structure right here.
Oh, okay. Over in this. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what gives me the determining factor if I'm going to try to get in. But like if I was entering right here, I wouldn't go full position. I would enter like one contract for a potential for it to bounce down here. And then if it left, I would not add. For some reason, I cannot add to a winning position. I don't know. It's like,
I think that's a block for you.
well, yeah, because my average is moving up, right? So if it goes against me, I'm gonna get fucked.
Right.
But that's something that I gotta practice on, and I don't know if I really need practice doing that because I usually enter like a quarter or half position, and then I have another. I leave. So let's say I trade five contracts. So I'll enter with two on my first where I would enter with two up here and then I add down here. And if it breaks below there, then I'm stopping out. But oops. Uh,
That makes sense.
okay, well let's talk about it after. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to add to winning trades for some reason. I don't know, but that's what I would. You just have to have that mentality, right? If if I'm entering here, I know that instead of 75 to 90%, the probability of it going in my favor, I might have a 50 to 75%. And as long as you're good with that, then you can take it. Don't let anybody switch up your mind because if you see something that I possibly didn't see, because I'm using a different strategy, fucking take your trade, take your shot.
That
But
makes
yeah,
sense. I'll think about that as I'm going through because I think the idea of adding, maybe just starting smaller, accepting that because then if I add smaller and it goes up this way and then stops right here, it's like, okay, then that's a very small win or nothing. But really, what I thought about, what I said, what my thesis was that it was going to go all the way up to this 1618, and that would be a good trade even on a small position.
yeah.
So, so yeah, I think considering adding it because I asked this question and I'll see what I do about it because a lot of times, right, like let's say, so when I got in here, my stop wasn't right here. I was like moving it up.
Hmm.
Where was I think it was actually under here, and I was like, we're just not even gonna break into the golden pocket was my little like I don't know like stop. But then if we got down there, then it's like a bad habit that I'm working out of is then I would get back in here with a stop down here, right? And then ultimately I look back and sure I'm not holding a loser all the way down here, but really ultimately it's loss after loss after loss,
Yeah.
which comes down to having basically holding it here. But then what makes it worse is all the commissions and the slippage and all that crap.
Yep. Like if you're a new trader, like don't focus on scaling in and scaling out. Like if you're a brand new trader, focus on your entry and only locking in that first contract or two. If if you're a new trader, practice getting in full position, whether it's one, two, or three contracts at your entry point. Worry about or because you're gonna develop the skills. Because honestly, to be able to scale in and scale out, you need to learn how the candles develop. Because if you don't know that and you see a certain type of candle, because we all know, right, when price action starts to potentially reverse, the candles get small. Look at these candles, right?
Mm,
Big, 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 and then they get small.
hmm.
But that takes screen time to be able to eye this, be like, okay, they got small and now they're going bigger, right? Because they went from large to small candles and then they started getting bigger again. And then you know a squeeze is coming, right? But a new trader wouldn't know that. So
Right.
enter full position and just focus on your entries. Focus on your entries. Like if you went full position there, cool. Then scale out. You can scale out, right? It's scaling in that's the hardest skill to learn because sometimes you're averaging down, and sometimes if you're adding, you're gonna get stopped out. Uh,
Absolutely.
or you're just gonna keep holding because your stop should have been here, and yet you're adding here, and then now your stop's way down here, and you're like, fuck.
Right.
Um, so I would suggest, hey, here's my here's my best identified entry, right? And then just tell yourself, I'm not getting in until it hits that level, and then take the trade, right? Hits that level. If it doesn't hit that level, you rather miss it than risk it. Just practice that. Just practice that because if it doesn't hit your level, just tell yourself rather miss it than risk it because let's say you're waiting for this level to hit, it doesn't hit, and then you get in right here, right? You get in right there and then it goes down and you're like, fuck. And then it hits your level and you're like, damn, I got stopped out. And then it hits right there and then it goes up. And you're like, fuck, I knew that it was gonna go to that level, right? But you just don't know when. You don't know if it's gonna go straight to it, if it's gonna go up, create a lower high, and then a higher low, and then go up to it.
Right.
So as a new trader, I wouldn't focus on scaling in and scaling out. That's a more advanced skill to learn. You want to perfect your entries. I couldn't stress that enough. It's just focus on perfecting your entries. Once you get that, okay, I got my entries lasered. Now the next step to focus is, okay, let's work on targets or let's work on, if you're still getting in on your optimal entry and you're getting stopped out, then that's something to work on next, right? On getting stopped out.
Right.
There's different ways to work on getting stopped out. Like instead of using pierce through levels, use a hard open close. That's a little bit more riskier, but your stop out rate or percentage will get less.
Right.
Um, and then yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about scaling in and scaling out as a new trader, one that just barely started trading, right? Once you have a year or two under your belt, then you can start learning that more advanced stuff. But I would say for the first few months, focus on your entry. Focus on your entry.
Makes sense. Roger that. Then I should yeah. Hmm. Okay.
But like if you got in right there, right, you're looking at the 50% of that wick.
Yeah, I'm looking at this wick, I'm looking at here, and I'm like, so you say optimal entry, and I'm just thinking how many trades, how many optimal entries am I even identifying? True optimal entries, because what's an optimal entry here? I mean, the pocket entries, or maybe just the 50. I mean, optimal,
Well, the way that I use optimal is this is the way that I kind of use it. Uh, is like I fib this out, right? So I'm using the fib, but see how this moving average right here stacks up with the 61?
mhm,
That's my optimal entry, right? And if I had structure over here, that's three things that that level has stacked together. So I have moving average, fib, and structure. That's my optimal entry, right? If I only have a fib, obviously not optimal. You want to have at least two things stacked in your favor to consider it an optimal entry.
That sounds great. I'm with that. Okay, I can do that. It's like you've always said, line up your fibs with the MAs, but I've never really thought about them, that exact spot being the optimal entry. I'll pay more attention to that.
And that's how you identify an optimal entry, right? Because remember, in the prior weeks, we learned a process of identifying structure, waiting for break of structure, and those two things are your signals, right? Once you get your break of
Mhm.
structure on the 1 minute, you have to confirm it with the 5 minute chart. Once you confirm it with the 5 minute chart, then you can look at the RSI and MACD. Okay, everything's aligned. Let me get in. And now, where am I going to get in? You just got to have this conversation in your head with yourself, right? Where am I
Mm,
going to get in? Okay, I have a fib. Okay, where do levels stack up? They stack up right here, right there. And let's just say there was structure right here. Let's just say this structure went down to like the 38 right here. So you can add one contract there, and one contract there. Or you can tell yourself, I'm just gonna get in either here, right? Oops. You can get in there, or this structure lines up with the 38. I'm gonna get in there, right? You kind of have to adapt because if you tell yourself, okay, I always miss it when I try to get in here or when I try to get in here, I always miss it. Right? And you're like, okay, well, let me just take the average of both of them and not just get in the middle, right? Because if you're missing a lot of entries, you're like, okay, well, what's the issue? Well, it's not coming down to my level. So the issue could be you're not fibbing out the right candle or you're not fibbing it out right. So you can adjust the fib, right? Or you can take the average of, okay, that level stacks up and this level stacks up. I'll get in right here in the middle. But yeah, um, I think stacking up those levels, you're gonna be more confident in your trade and not so scared of getting in your trade, right? Because you identify the optimal entry, it hits that level, you're getting in. You know it's a good level. But yeah, good trade. Hopefully that helps and answers your question. Yo, Toad, we lost you, bud. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Oh, Toad. What's the next trade, bud? Maybe you had to go to the restroom.
You might have lost connection.
I think so.
Oh, finally, there you go.
Sorry
Can you
about that.
guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep. I think I actually tuned out there, but here I'm going to move on to the next one.
Cool.
Okay. Pull up. This one should be,
So this is a red trade.
yeah, this one here. So I've actually got some stuff on the fluff on the right. Oh, close that. Close that one there so you can actually see the entry without any other stuff. So we got took a long here and then along here. That was a loss. And then I like sat and I was like thinking about it. What should I do here? A couple 5 minute candles go by and start building into
A
this
long.
long. Um and I think now that I'm looking at it in hindsight, I think this might have been questionable because
It broke structure down.
yes. Yes, because it broke structure down, and here's where structure and my MAs compete. So I got these spaghetti emas like 9, 15, 30, 65,
And
3.
this is NQ?
This is NQ.
Okay, so look at this is a perfect example we just talked about in the last trade
Excellent.
before you get into it, right? Because look at this structure right here, right? Because it's always the most recent, right? So you could have fibbed either from here to there or the leg. This is the leg right here, right? This is the leg. So you could fib from there to there.
Uh-huh.
Um, Either way, whatever way you fib, look at where it came down to. Look to the left. There was no resistance right here, other
No,
than this little overlap. But this is a 5 minute right here.
that is the 5 minute.
Okay, so look at this doji right here. I would consider that structure, right? So it always first tags the wick of it. And look at it right here. It's stacked up with your 50 MA or your moving averages. I'm not sure what they are. But that would have been your optimal entry to go long.
Right.
To where? To write this structure, right? And then you would look at the 50% of that wick. So if I got in here, I would lock some in maybe here and at the top of the body, and then let one ride, or at the top of the body and let one ride. Uh, because it broke, even though, see, most likely this right here is this. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure. Um, but see how I broke it on the 1 minute? So you should say, okay, it broke that structure right here. Shouldn't be getting in short because I should be looking for a good structure and an overlap to get in long.
right.
So we broke structure, boom. And now knowing that we broke structure right here on the 5 minute, right? Because it lines up right here. The highest point we can get up to is right here, from there to there. And that would be from here to here. And it stacks up at the top of that body right here.
That makes sense.
Because we broke structure, right? So you're expecting a lower high. As soon as we broke structure on the 5, we created a lower low. What do you expect the cycle to continue, right? And create a lower high. Where can it create that lower high? Right here in this overlap. So you can lock some in there and let one ride as soon as it breaks that doji right here. Stop out.
As soon as it breaks, what doji stop out?
Uh, this one right here. You see that?
Yep. On a hard open close stop out or
Or I would stop out as soon as it broke the body. Or worst case, if it broke the 50% of the bottom wick. And you would profit stop, right? And that's reading the chart. Reading the chart will save you from getting stopped out. And look at you had this one good, but you entered here, right?
yeah.
Well, you entered here, got stopped out, and then you entered again? Or how did it work?
Um, so I got
Well,
in
you entered here, got out. Did you add?
no, yeah, so I entered here, I got full out, um, and then just entered again. Like this was a FOMO.
It
Went
was, but look, you didn't break structure. Your structure was right here. So this broke the structure. So if you got in right there, you got lucky, or you got to play because it hit your level, right? You got in, you got out. It didn't break structure. So now what you're looking for is a higher low, right? Once you get a higher low, what are you looking for? a higher high, and this broke this, right? It barely broke it. It barely broke it right here. So once you have break a structure, your signal is to look for a higher low in sequence. And look, the structure right there. Or you can do the the overlap the bottom. Is this a 1 minute or the 5 minute?
One.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, if it breaks the high, now you're looking, right? So you got in right here, or let's just say you got in right here. And look again, look at the chart. What do I always say? If you see price action slowing down, this is slowing down, right? And you will literally see it. Like the fucking candle will not move up or down. It'll just be stuck.
Right.
And you're like, fuck. And after you see this big ass green candle, you're like, man, the candle should be like good size. And you're like, oh shit, slowing down, slowing down.
Right.
So you got in there, and then you're just tracking the bodies in the bodies in the wicks. Okay, we're above 50% of that wick, we're good. I mean, the body, we're good. Now you're tracking this one. You're tracking each candle up. Okay, this candle was bullish majority of the time, right? This candle was bearish majority of the time. Oh shit. It broke above and now it's breaking down below this wick. Oh shit. It broke that wick. Oh shit. We're looking at this body now. If it breaks that body, now we're going to break down to this. If we break that, then we can go into the wick of that big ass doji. If we break that, then we're gonna go down to the body of this. Where your entry was up here, right? But if you start breaking down like 2 or 3 consecutive candles, you might think about stopping out or profit stopping before you get back to your entry.
Yeah.
And that takes a little bit of skill of just watching the candles develop. And I think the best way that I found for me to read the chart is break down the candle of the 5 minute. You can use it on the 1 minute, but you're gonna get faked out more often than not. But like on the 5 minute over here, you know, you entered, you would have entered maybe right here on this doji, right? So if you entered on that doji, it would have went up and you would stop out at the break below the body and you would profit stop
Yeah.
or break even.
Yeah. On how generally I'm scaling in and out is this. I mean, at 8 in the morning, I definitely, if I got in right properly around, because this is about that 5 minute candle right here. And then here's about the retrace. That definitely would have been some profit taking. Um, but instead it was this entry, was ugly. So
That was
then
FOMO, you could tell.
100%. And then I should have been grateful for the win and gotten out.
Yep.
But instead I wanted more there. And then I'm glad I at least didn't hold too long.
Well, as soon as you want more, that's greed kicking in.
Yep.
You gotta be able to identify these emotions, right? Identify FOMO. Oh shit, I'm getting anxious. I'm because I know it's gonna go to that level and it's you know, or I'm getting nervous because it's gonna come back down to my stop or whatever the emotions are, right? You gotta be able to identify them so it keeps you calm or keeps you out of a trade, keeps you out of trouble most of the time.
Right.
But um I think if you break down the bar, 50% of the body, 50% of the wick, you're going to be able to read the chart a lot easier. And then you're going to start developing the gut algo of those bars.
Yep.
And once you see a certain combination,
Yep.
I play the level like let's say I have a fib. easy ask the question is, do you play a level or do you target in a specific amount? So let's say I have a fib and that fib doesn't line up with structure at all, right? So I know that that's not my optimal exit. But let's say this part right here lines up with structure that lines up right here. So I am targeting, and we broke all this structure. There's no more structure like until right here, right? Let's just say this leg continued like that. Once it breaks above this structure and I have my fib and I have my entry, that's my ultimate target, but I'm looking at the body of those two overlapping candles. Of the two overlapping candles, let's just say there's a green like that and a red like that, right? So I'm taking the overlap.
Yep.
If I got in at the 50% down here, like I said earlier, my target, I take them, like I'll leave, if I have three, then I will target this, the overlap bottom. And sometimes I've been fucked, trust me, because this one has a wick, right? And then price action comes right to that wick and then it fucking does this. And it was like, fuck, why didn't I take that?
Yeah. I'll put stuff at the I'm like, honestly, sometimes I don't know what to do with my I'll like put one at a big shy and then one at like a big pop. And then price comes here and then I get stopped. I'm like, was that even good? Like, was what I did good? I don't even know.
But this is what I do, right? So I'm usually with 2 to 3 contracts. On my
Right.
normal accounts, I don't do 5 like I did for that contest. I do 3 max. So I'll put one right here at the bodies, but I will look at price action. Okay, if this candle was a big ass rejection of the bottom of that wick, then I might think a bit like, okay, I'll take profit right here a little bit, let the other two ride. Okay, and then the other one I'll put at 50% there. And then the other one, I don't put it up there, but I'm looking at the wicks, right? Because I know that if we get above 50% of those wicks, it's gonna squeeze, right? So usually my third target, I'll either put it at the fib level or at the next structure up, or maybe the average, right? So let's say it has another structure way up here,
Right.
then I'll put it like in the middle of it. Because ultimately my target was right here, right? But to let our runner run, I'll stop out right there. I mean, not stop out. I will take profit right there and let one run. And then if I see it breaking down or slowing down like this, then I'll profit stop at the break back below the 50% of that wick. If it breaks that, I'm as soon as it breaks 50%, I'm getting out. And that's a green trade because I'll end up green, right? Because I entered down here somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'll stop out right here. And look, it would have broke me even if I would have followed that method.
Hmm.
But always look for structure. Like for easy, if you have a fair value gap, like let's say it stacks up with this structure and you have a fair value gap, I would be taking profit there. And if you have another fair value up here that you're targeting, then let the runner run. But you're looking, right? Because you want price action to break that fair value back, test it, and then run to your target. But let's say it runs above it and you're like, oh shit, it didn't hit my last target, but I'm seeing lower highs right here. Why wouldn't you profit stop? Call that trade green. You got out, um, and then reset. Wait for the next setup. Because what if there's another confirmation right here, and then it goes to your target?
True.
You would have to get back in over here, but you still have a green trade here and another green trade there.
Hmm. On this one, all right, then before we go to the next one, so I do have my profits, before I next picture. I do have the profit targets and but I don't have a stop. What do you think about these profit targets and where would you stop out?
Something that I've been doing a lot lately is if you had that target right here, right? I'm not gonna let it come back down against me, no matter what. I don't care,
Right.
right? So I will now put it at, let's say my trade, the cost of the trade is like $6 because of commissions. Then I'm putting my profit stop $10. I don't give a fuck. Cause,
I don't.
because it's easier to reset from a small green than a big red or a stop out red, right? So let's say your stop out is 250. So it does this. I profit stop right here. Great. I made $4 after commissions, right? I made $4. Okay. I still see that it's in trend. It creates a higher low right here, right? And you profit stopped right here. Now it created a higher low right here. And guess what? It broke structure and then it's going to come back to the same level you stopped out at. And then you get back in and then you take it up to your next target. Instead of it goes to your target, you don't take profit, it goes back against you, you stop out, and now you're negative $50 or whatever, $100,
Hmm.
and then it starts higher lowing, right? It creates the same fucking play, higher low, higher highs, and then higher lows. But now, because you're red, you're afraid to take that trade.
Yeah, definitely. I totally feel that. That happens a lot.
Know what I'm saying? Versus, okay, I got out green, let me reset, I'm cool, right? I got profit stop right there. Okay, higher low. Okay, and now I know that. Now I'm waiting for break of structure. Okay, it created a structure right there. It broke it. Now it's gonna come back, retest it, and then you can get in. Notice that you can have the same play or the same entry and the same stop out, or not the same stop out, but different stop outs. But your mind is more at ease if you have a small green than versus a huge red because now you're on makeup mode, right? I need to make up that 250.
Yup.
Instead of being like, I'm green $10, cool. Let me see if I can hit this structure up here. Okay, we got a break a structure, we got a higher low. I'm getting in. My target's right here. Or you can do right there because of this big overlap. But once price action comes back into this big green bar, you want to get over this big red bar because these two bars right here are going to be fighting each other. It's going to be a tug of war. So you have to look at 50% of this big ass body. Once it gets 50% of that, you're looking at the top and the wick because then it lines up with 50% of this body,
Right.
right? It lines up. If it breaks that wick, now you want this green body, you want price action to go up into here, over here. And if it breaks the body, then you're looking at this wick. And if it breaks that, then you know it should be a squeeze point.
Okay. So what about a stop from this position right here? So I'm in five Oscar Mike wieners, five Mickeys, and the average is right here. So we're right on my average right here.
Yep.
Would you stop out at the fresh low or would you be waiting for that hard open close?
If you entered right here and it doesn't even go up in your favor at all,
Yeah, if it just is, I don't know, maybe like 5 points in my favor, then back down because you're not moving into profit at 5 points. You know what I mean? You're at least gonna wait for like 10, 15.
yeah.
Target. But so yeah, if it just is, let's say like does this, where are you stopping out?
I'm looking at these dojis.
And at the doji, so maybe like here.
Worst case, 50%. As soon as I see it break 50% of these wicks, I'm stopping out. Because let's say your original stop out was right here, right? Because of those wicks. You're like, okay, this is a logical stop out. But guess what happens when you put your stop right there? It does this fucking shit with the big wick right here.
With a big wick, specifically with a big wick. Yeah, that's
And then you're gonna be mad. You're like, fuck, the market knows where my orders are at.
it's actually all right. So I stopped out here.
Where?
Um,
Oh, right there on that red candle. Yeah, perfect.
yeah. So I got out there, and I was not very mad about it. So you think that's a good stop? So I'm glad. That's why I asked. I was like, "What do you think if it doesn't even go up?" You're like the dojis. That's actually exactly what I was thinking. I was like, "I'll tolerate these wicks in the dojis." It was actually a little further than it had to be. Um,
But instead, you saved yourself, right? Instead of 250, maybe it's 150. But you're still in a better mindset of 250, right? Versus if it would have came up and then you profit stopped right here or something,
yeah,
and you're like, all right, cool. I can still reset.
yeah,
Like I said, you get used to the candles. You get used to them developing. You get used to like something that I've been watching out now is like always put the timer. If you don't have the timer on NinjaTrader, get it. It's called bar timer and it has a little timer right here.
yeah. I got all the time. Yeah, it's like right there. Yeah,
And then you're just like, okay, this 5 minute candle, it was bearish 3 minutes out of the 5 minutes. So you know it's a little bit weak or it's bullish more than, you know. And then you see the last 30 seconds of the 5 minute candle or the last 10 seconds of the 1 minute candle, and you're like, okay, the bulls are coming in, the bears are coming in. You'll know. You'll know.
yep,
Um, but that just comes from watching these fucking candles develop. And like, once you hit your goal, stop. If you hit your fucking daily goal, stop. If you want to continue trading, go sim trade.
right.
Do not give profits back.
Yep, that's actually today. So I mean, like I've said more than a few times, right? It's like I honestly I need to be coming into these finding my way meetings and start talking about like, all right, I traded today. Now, before I traded, did I follow my routine, my plans, my regime, my regimen? You know, it's like that's really the question. I journaled some day like I journal what like 2 3 days or so in a row. Did the whole I kind of expect too much out of myself. I did the whole thing. I woke up early, worked out, came back, hopped into the pool. It was kind of cold. It was Florida, not that cold. uh Meditated, affirmation in the morning, the whole shebang, and then traded. All right, perfect days. Perfect days, right? And then I don't for 2 days in a row and red days. Like it's really just as simple as that. You know what I mean? Um, so that's what I'm gonna start recording alongside these my entry journals as well. Um, but got to start working at it slower. Like you said, do one. If you are, I already wake up early, so I need to make sure I do number two. I don't need to do all five things. I need to make sure I do at least add at least one thing. You know what
But
I mean?
you stack up, right? So you do one of the three things that I said, right?
Right.
So then you already got comfortable with that one thing. Now you got to push yourself. Okay, I'm already comfortable with waking up early every fucking day. All right, got that knocked out. Now I got to push myself. Next, I'll work on getting in the cold shower or cold plunge. Okay, I'm uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable for a week or two. After 2 weeks, you already start to become comfortable. Now add another thing.
Yep.
Okay, now now I can wake up early, get in the shower. Now let me add another thing, but this time I'm gonna swap it. I'm gonna do get up early, work out, and then get in the cold plunge, or vice versa, whatever. So you're always pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. So what are you creating when you're doing that? What are you creating
Growth.
when you push yourself out of that comfort zone?
Growth.
You're creating discipline.
Discipline, right? Okay, yeah.
The discipline. Freaking Andrew Huberman, he said when you there's a part of the brain that you start to build when you push yourself out of that comfort zone. And that's what you're fucking doing. I forgot if it's the front part or the back part of your brain, whatever it is.
They said it acts like a muscle.
You're working out that muscle, you're making it stronger, and you're making yourself more disciplined. When you go into trading, get all that discipline that you've been building up on, just waking up, getting in the cold shower is gonna carry over into trading, where you're not as nervous, you're not as fucking scatterbrained, you're more focused. You're like, cool. And once you get to that level, you're gonna instead of you it's like right now, a lot of new traders when they come in, they're mad at the market. They're like, fuck, it knows where my stops are, it takes me out, and then it goes, and you're all mad at the market, right? But when you push yourself out of that comfort zone, you're gonna be you're gonna be more calm and you're gonna be more in sync with the market. And you're gonna realize that you're gonna be like, oh shit, I feel like I'm in sync with the market. And you can fucking call every pop, every drop, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in the zone, right? And then you're making good trades, and then you break your routine and you take a bad trade and you're like, fuck, I'm back to square one. What the fuck? Well, you gotta identify what'd you do. Oh, I didn't do my routine. Oh shit. Because that helps you focus.
Yep.
That fucking helps you focus, discipline, fucking cool, calm, and collected. When you get in the cold plunge, when you work out, you release all the testosterone, all the hormones that you built up throughout the night.
Yep.
You fucking
And I have no business trading if I don't do that stuff.
exactly.
No
Eh,
business.
if you do trade, just know that you might not be as laser as no, as you normally would.
Right. Yeah. Like one micro, two micro, definitely scale down. But so yeah. Yeah, just to note that and keep that in mind because this day actually felt pretty good. I was definitely you could tell I noted like you said, you're better off stopping out down here. So it doesn't go all the way even further just to wick. So this one happened to still wick. But I wasn't pissed, right? Because I had already like you can tell I was up early, right? I was trading at 8, taking some pretty sat through this for a while before finally cut it. So it's like even in hindsight, I can tell when I was in a pretty decent mood.
Yep.
But all that aside, the psychology aside, this one, yeah, it did stop me out here. And then as soon as it did that, this is a 1 minute um wicked into and this is also I've been practicing trying to get in on red candles. So
Uh-huh.
that's
How's
also
that going?
that's these two. It can be tough because it's also counter at it's up against that I don't want to be trying to just catch a random bottom.
Yep.
So it's it's like yeah, buy the red candles to go up, but don't just buy any red candle.
Yeah. You want you want to fucking
It's the
like
structure like this one.
exactly. So let's say this big red candle is coming into this structure right here or whatever, right? And it stacks up with the moving average or fib. I'm taking that. I don't
Right.
care. I'm taking it, right? But if this red candle is in the middle of no man's land, I'm not taking that shit. Because the next one can be red in continuation to where your level is at. And then it hits your level and then it goes against you or it goes with you, for you.
Right.
But that next red candle, you can't tolerate that and you get stopped out. Why not just wait for that candle to come down and hit your level?
Yep. Or miss it, and so be it.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, like this one actually this purple level. It's a little Tradeovate level. It's actually not on by default, so you might not know it's there. But this purple level is naturally the 50% between the high a day and the low a day.
Yep.
Yeah, so I like this. So that was actually this entry here, and it was also off of my EMA. Um, so that was this one. So I'm fine with that one.
But
Um,
I think if you would have learned to read like that body, like I told you, or the wicks, you would have been like, oh shit, it's rejecting the body. Maybe I should profit stop. And then, oh shit, it broke the doji. Oh, I'm profit stopping.
yeah, I probably could have done that.
But
One
that takes skill because it can do this, right? Be like, oh, broke the doji, and then, oh shit, it went in my favor. Why did I stop out? And that just you're just like you're finessing the market, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You're not trying to fucking scam the market because when you try to scam the market, that's when you get scammed.
right. Yeah.
But
That's a skill that I think trading without the hard stops um is good for that because when I set a hard stop, I'm always in this mindset of like, oh, stop or target. Like I'm not like stop or target, stop or target. And that works for some people. But also being dynamic and realizing okay, I got in here and right now my hard stop is say here and my hard target is here in case it just slams up there. But once I get here, then I'm actually moving my stop because now we're making new structure. Like it's better, I don't know if you I think it's better to move your stops and targets dynamically as long as you're in the right state of mind.
yep,
And that's the hard part is knowing that you're in the right state of mind all the time.
yes, sir. Eh, And that just comes with experience. You're not gonna fucking you're gonna get faked out a few times, but more often than not, you're gonna be like, oh, thank God I stopped out, you know?
Oh, for sure. I've never been too upset about a tight stop like this one. So then on this one too, this one is crazy and this picture here, I took a pic of all my whole four panel. I've got um the one or two, I watch both here and then the five. That's the ugliest five I've ever seen in my whole life. The five, the 15, and then whatever the 60 here. So that's like just while we're talking about this. So um what this is actually the same type of fib I was working off of today, is just a 15-minute chart here and then clear break of structure right here.
Yep.
Super clear break of structure and then yeah, simply
The retest.
strength off the GP. Yeah, really. And then it went up. What I was going for here, I gotta also figure out how you sync your cursor in Tradeovate. I know how to do it on Ninja. I don't know how to do it on Tradeovate. I saw yours was syncing up
It
on.
just has to be the same ticker.
That's weird. Mine doesn't do it, but maybe. Um, but yeah, so then this here, this is actually kind of what I was expecting today. Um I had the same fib. I fibbed out this.
The leg that broke structure.
Yep. I was actually having a little bit of turn off these emas. I was actually having a little bit of trouble telling if it should be this fib or this fib.
Either way, you're gonna get the same entry.
Pretty, yeah, yeah,
Either off the 60 or off the 50.
yeah, pretty much. Um, I went the one that had the most consecutive non-busted candles. Like this one right here, I kind of would consider that a little bit of a fake out stop out. So I wanted to at least be like down here. But either way, and the only thing it did differently These are some of the patterns I love looking back at. I think like remembering just what the candles like did is super cool. Like so I was actually remembering this trade I
Yep.
was remembering today. I mean,
Nice.
if you look at just the 15-minute chart, they look pretty similar.
Yep.
There's break a structure here.
Yeah,
Uh,
you told me in the chat. This feels like the same thing as yesterday.
yeah, yeah, I was saying, yeah, and I love that shit. And this is actually, I'll point it out. So I was actually today, I was in a long down here, and caught up some of this, but then I was in the chat. I was also like, I got stuff to go do. I
Yeah.
got a day job report I need to finish. And then I was looking for it to come down just like that day and slam right into this pocket and then rip back up. And it didn't exactly get down to the pocket, but I thought that was pretty cool and kind of like memorizing these candles, like stuff's pretty simple. Like yesterday, actually, I didn't play it, so I'm giving a little bit of the oh, I saw this, I knew it. But I noticed a lot on the hourly candles. I don't know, I don't have data, but a lot of time you'll get a big red hourly candle and then a relief green, a big red hourly, and then a relief green. And then right on the close of that relief green, it reverses down for that fresh low. And I was kind of thinking about this hourly here, and it kind of did like the same thing.
Hmm.
Um, Stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, just kind of a note to self there. I think it's some of these things, they kind of just repeat these patterns. They're kind of like in like the same week in the same month. I don't know, like what these algos are doing. I don't know, but
What's best is like what I like about jumping on a chat room, especially if you got a good mentor, is like Brandon will give a lesson the previous day, and then you see it the next day live happening. Like you're like,
right,
fuck yeah.
right,
And then you already know, okay, Brandon would do this or Semper would do it like this or whatever the case is, right?
right.
Uh, because you're always trying to, I don't know, I'm always just trying to find an edge, price action, whatever the case is. Like for that contest, I was only trading structure. That's it. Structure break, and then I would combine it with a fib level on my trade ovate. Be like, okay, cool. Or fair value gap, right? Break a structure, comes back down to the fair value gap or GP. Boom, I'm taking it. Um, yeah. But
Yeah.
this last trade that you say you were taking, it breaks the structure and then it stacks up with the structure right there. See that?
Which one? Oh, yep. Yeah, then back to the top of that structure. Let me see, did that do that in this one? Yeah, yeah, it did. Really, that's okay. I like that. That's
But
cool.
try to do the most recent structure, right? Because you got that one, but you also got this one right here.
Oh, yeah, this one is covered up by that text. Yup, 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if the fib level stacks up with the structure, fucking take that trade.
All right. I mean, it's pretty funny. I know when I started off, I was on the anchors and the Celts and all this stuff, but then now I'm like MAs, fibs, and structure, baby.
Yep.
We keep that shit. Um, okay. Well then yeah, I mean this is how that one went here. Stopped out of that fresh low, got a little scammed. A little scammy, and then went what it made this nice bull hammer on the 1 minute. And then as soon as it broke above that, I was like, all right, I think I got tricked. I'll get in again, full five position with a stop under this. And just got in there with a hard stop under that. Um, and then yeah, I kind of just took them out here and then decided to be done for the day. Um, and then it did this. I mean, whatever. Who cares? Like, come on. Who's predicting the 200 point out of the gate squeeze? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I was happy with this, and that was that day. But yeah, I don't know what time we're at. I sure have a lot more. I mean, I've
cool.
got
We just cut it there and then you just keep tracking. The next thing I kind of wanted to teach you was scale up, right? Scaling up your trades because you have five goals, right? First goal as a newbie, stop losing money, learn entries, right? Second goal, start making money or at least being profitable, right? Third goal is increase your account size. So you start with MES, right? And then you're gonna build your account size until you're able to trade ES or the minis without stressing. That's something that helped me a lot, right? Because the first time I was trading with the small account, $600, built it up to 10 grand. I was like, I still can't jump to to the minis. Because in my brain, I was thinking, okay, if I want to trade minis, I want to be able to swing trade it and to be able to sync trade it. And that varies, right? Because ES can go from 10 grand to 12 grand margin or maintenance margin that you need to have in your account so you can hold through maintenance.
yeah,
Maintenance is when they shut down from uh 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 3 p.m.
right.
Pacific Standard Time. So I was like, okay, I'll build it up to then. And the first time I built it up to 10K from 600 bucks, I went to minis and then I got wrecked. And then I tried NQ and then I really got smoked. And I was fuck this. And then I went back to micros and then I blew up my account. I was like, fuck. Because I wasn't in the right mindset when I was trading the minis. I was like, it just fucked me up. So then the I did it again. This time I built it up to 12 grand. And I was like, okay, cool. I can trade one MES or one ES and I can hold overnight. And if it goes against me, whatever, you know. And I did that. I held through maintenance, swing traded it, and it fucking fucked me. And I was like, fuck. That's the second account I blew up. Third
Mhm.
account, I just blew up from trading micros and just bag holding. Those were my issues, bag holding. And I was just like, fuck. Blew up the third account, fourth account, blew up to 16K, and then just continued from there and never looked back.
Okay.
But yeah, you need to be able to start on micros. And this goes for prop firms too, right? You start off with micros, and then you feel confident, and then you have that buffer, right? Like I know Apex was 2600 before you can take a payout. So build that buffer up with your micros, and then once you out of that buffer, then jump onto the minis. Because you won't have, or just build it up more with micros and then, or just trade micros, right? Because you can't scale out of one mini, right? But 10 micros equals one mini, and you can scale out of that.
Yeah, yeah. On
But
10, 10, that's what I like to do.
have you traded 10 micros?
Yeah, so this one was five. I have done 10 micros. This one is five. I think actually the trade nine, yeah, this data trade, this was 10 micros. Um I kind of go in based on the stop. So like this one I knew that I was taking an aggressive trade with a chance of popping up pretty far. So I
Yep.
got in 10 with about a 10-point stop. And then if I'm going in five, that's the wrong screenshot. If I'm going in five, I'll go for about like a 15 or so point stop. So it kind of depends on like if I'm going for a pullback trade, I'll usually go in less with a bigger stop.
Yeah.
I don't know how logical that is. I don't want to say it like that's my expert wisdom because,
Yeah. Well,
Point
like
is, definitely I have done 10.
something that easy when we're going through finding my way with him was I wanted to scale him up. And when we got to eight mini contracts, he was like, "Whoa, I just made 5K, or I'm red 2,500." He's like, "Whoa," because your heart rate gets it raises more when you have more size. And if you've never been used to seeing that drawdown or that win, you're fucking gonna get nervous and you're gonna get sweaty. So we started him with one NQ or one ES, I forgot. And then we went to two, and then we went to four, and then we went to six, and then to eight. And by
Yeah,
the time we were at six, even at four, he was like, "Man, this is crazy." But
yeah,
you're building your tolerance, right? Because your account is growing,
right.
right? When I started MES, fucking negative $25 was a lot for me, right? I was like, fuck, negative $25. But as I built up my account, when I went from 600 to 3,000, then I'll be like, okay, now I can see a 200, negative 200, and then I don't have an issue with that because I have the account size to for that drawdown, right? And then I got to 12, and then I could see five or 600, 600 red, 500 red, and not even have an issue with it. And now at 20K or 50K, I could see a $1,200 red and not feel nothing about it. So you're
Absolutely.
you're building your tolerance as you grow.
That makes sense. I suppose, I suppose I either need to have a consistent sizing like that or really know when I'm using size A and size B.
Yep.
I,
Like
I
I would use size B for counter trend, and I would use size A for a grade A with trend.
makes sense.
Those are all things you got to take into account. Okay, is this counter trend or is this with trend? Okay, with trend, I'm taking full size or half size, and then I'll add in whatever. You you have to be able to adapt to the market. If you're just set in stone, I'm going in full blast 10 contracts. You know,
Right.
you might end up on the losing side a lot more often than not.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I don't. I want to like go in because whatever I do, I'm trying to put my T1 a little further than my stop, and I'm trying to take half when I get there. So it's like that's pretty flexible. I just got to find like right now 5 and I'm taking 3, or whatever. Or if I really think it's going to go the distance, I'll take 2. But 6 I can take 3, 7 I'll take 4, 8 I'll still take 4. So that sounds good. I'll probably stick with just 5 for now. I mean, well, side two, double side two, maybe size A, size B, maybe 8 and 4, something like that, and just try to stick with that and stop because I'm definitely moving my size around a little bit. So, um, that sounds legit. And then the maintenance. That's funny you say that about the maintenance because that's definitely. I think we all have confirmation bias sometimes, and I'm always like, damn, if I could have just held through maintenance, but I bet the first time I try to hold through maintenance, I'd get fucking smoked.
Yeah. Especially like if it gaps down, I was like, oh fuck. It's fucking toast. But yeah, some things to keep working on. Hopefully, keep adding. Don't try to confuse yourself. Hopefully the break of structure is really helping you. Is that something that I would just be on the Zoom with Brandon, right? And he would always say, wait for break of structure, wait for break of structure. And it finally clicked about like a year ago. I was like, oh shit, this is what he means with break of structure. And you're
Yep.
like, oh, okay. And now you just gotta perfect it. Don't throw the break of structure out the way because that is my number one signal to start looking for stuff.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, break structures. I think fibbing out these structure breaks gives me like legit zones, gives me great legit targets. If I do it on the 15-minute, it gives me like often the trade of the day,
Yep.
it's definitely A1.
Yep. So we'll stop it there and we'll see you next week. Keep on tracking your trades, bro, because that's how we're gonna scale you up, right? Remember, I said if you take 20 trades and you have 15 green trades for 2 weeks straight, scale up next. Whether it's one contract, two contracts. So if you're starting at five, go to seven or go to six or go to eight. Either way, just keep hitting that consistency and keep scaling up. Sooner or later, you're going to be, at 15 contracts, which is 1.5 ES, and you're going to be killing it because with one mini contract, you can make some fucking damage.
Oh yeah,
And like I said 3 weeks ago, remember, it's like riding, learning how to surf. First, you're learning the little ones. Next thing you're going to be riding freaking Maverick waves. And those are 100 plus points.
absolutely.
But cool. Good recaps. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.